We have all been there. You're in a conversation, a family gathering, or a work meeting, and you can feel the energy in the room shift. One person's negativity, criticism, or manipulation begins to spread like a contagion. You watch as others become defensive, angry, or flustered. You feel it in your own body. Your heart rate quickens, your jaw tightens, your mind starts racing. You promised yourself you wouldn't get hooked this time, that you wouldn't let them get to you. But despite your best efforts, you feel yourself being pulled into the drama, losing your center, and reacting in a way you'll later regret. Dealing with difficult or toxic people is one of the greatest challenges to our inner peace. They seem to have a special key that unlocks our deepest insecurities and triggers our most volatile reactions. We spend hours, even days, replaying their words in our minds, trying to understand their motives and feeling drained by the encounter. We are told to set boundaries, to cut them off, but often that isn't possible. They may be a family member, a boss, or a co-parent. So how do we protect our peace when we cannot escape the source of the storm? What if there was a way to stand calmly in the eye of the hurricane, untouched by the chaos swirling around you? This is where Buddhist wisdom offers not just a shield, but a profound transformation. The Buddhist approach to difficult people is not about building higher walls. It's about developing an unshakable inner foundation. It's a set of mental and emotional skills that allow you to engage with the world without being emotionally hijacked by it. In this video, we will explore the deep practices and mindset shifts that allow Buddhist practitioners to remain centered and calm, even in the face of intense negativity. These are not simple tricks. They are 7 pillars of a resilient mind that can be cultivated by anyone. If you feel exhausted by the drama in your life, this guide will offer you a path not just to survival, but to a profound and lasting peace. The first and most radical step in this process is a fundamental change in perception. Before any technique can work, you must reframe the entire situation. This is where we learn that they see a person in pain, not a toxic person. The label toxic is a judgment. It's a heavy, solid wall we build between ourselves and the other person. It defines them by their worst behavior, making them an enemy to be defended against. This adversarial stance immediately puts us into a state of stress, activating our fight or flight response. The Buddhist perspective invites us to look deeper behind the behavior, to the root cause. And the root cause of all harmful behavior, all cruelty, manipulation, and negativity is suffering. Happy, peaceful, and fulfilled people do not go around hurting others. Hurt people hurt people. The person lashing out with criticism is often deeply insecure. The person who manipulates is often terrified of abandonment. The person who spreads negativity is often drowning in their own inner misery. Their behavior is a clumsy, misguided attempt to alleviate their own pain, often by projecting it onto others. Imagine you come across a person who is on fire. They are thrashing around, screaming, and in their panic, they might even swing at you. Would your first reaction be anger? Would you take it personally? Or would you see that they are in agony and that their actions are a direct result of that agony? The Buddhist approach is to see the difficult person as someone who is internally on fire. Their toxic behavior is the smoke and the flailing from their own inner flames of greed, hatred, and ignorance. This does not mean you should stand there and let them burn you. It does not excuse their harmful actions, but it does change everything about your internal state. When you see their behavior as a symptom of their suffering, it becomes impossible to take it personally. Their criticism is not really about you. It's a reflection of their own self-judgment. Their anger is not about your actions. It's a manifestation of their own inner turmoil. In practice, when you are faced with a difficult person, the first step is to silently say to yourself, "This person is suffering. Their words and actions are coming from a place of deep pain." This simple reframe is a circuit breaker. It cuts the power to your reactive ego. It shifts you from a state of defense to a state of compassionate distance. You are no longer their victim. You are an observer of their suffering. This single shift is the gateway to all the other practices. Once you have reframed the person, the next step is to manage your own internal reaction. The difficult person has thrown a hook, and the natural tendency is to bite down hard and start pulling. This is where we must learn that they drop the rope in the mental tug of war. Every conflict with a difficult person is a kind of tug of war. They pull on the rope with their negativity, their criticism, their demands. Our ego immediately grabs our end of the rope and pulls back with equal force. We defend, we justify, we argue, we attack. We are desperate to prove them wrong, to win the argument, to protect our sense of self. And in doing so, we become completely entangled. The stress we feel is the tension on that rope. The Buddhist master Ajahn Chah famously said, "If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace." Dropping the rope is the ultimate act of letting go in a conflict. What are you letting go of? You are letting go of your attachment to being right. You're letting go of your need to have the last word. You're letting go of your desire to control the other person's opinion of you. You are letting go of the belief that you can win an argument with someone who is not interested in reason, but in drama. Dropping the rope doesn't mean you are weak or that you agree with them. It is an act of supreme wisdom and strength. It is a recognition that the only way to win a pointless game is to refuse to play. In practice, this looks like non-engagement with the drama. When they offer criticism, you don't have to accept it or fight it. You can simply say, "Thank you for sharing your perspective. I will think about that." When they try to bait you into an argument, you can say, "I can see this is very important to you, but I am not willing to argue about it." You are not pulling. You are not pushing. You have simply let your end of the rope fall to the ground. The other person may continue to pull for a while, but it's very difficult to play tug of war by yourself. Eventually, without your resistance, their energy will dissipate. By dropping the rope, you reclaim all the energy you would have wasted in a fruitless struggle. You preserve your peace because you recognize that your peace is more valuable than your pride. This practice of non-engagement frees up your mental space for a more profound internal practice. Instead of focusing on them, you turn your attention inward. This is where we see that they practice spiritual jujitsu. In the martial art of jujitsu, you don't meet an opponent's force with brute force. Instead, you use their momentum and energy against them, redirecting it to gently neutralize the threat. In a conflict with a difficult person, their negative energy is the force. Our instinct is to meet it with a rigid wall of defense. Spiritual jujitsu is the art of using the energy of their attack not to fight back, but as an opportunity for self-inquiry. When a difficult person says or does something that triggers a strong emotional reaction in you, it's like they are pressing a button. A Zen perspective would ask, forget about the finger that is pressing the button for a moment. Why is that button there in the first place? Their negativity has illuminated a sensitive area within you, an unresolved wound, an attachment of the ego. The difficult person becomes an unwitting teacher, a mirror reflecting back to you your own inner work. If their criticism about your work makes you boil with rage, the question is not just, why are they so mean? But also, why is my sense of self-worth so attached to their approval? If their passive-aggressive comment makes you feel small and unseen, the question is not just, why are they so manipulative? But also, what is this old feeling of not being good enough that they have just activated? This is not about blaming yourself. It is about using the interaction as a diagnostic tool. The difficult person is simply the messenger, delivering a letter that tells you where your attachments lie. Instead of shooting the messenger, you read the letter. In practice, when you feel that sting of reactivity, you can silently ask yourself, what is being triggered in me right now? What is this person showing me about myself? This shifts you from being a victim to being a student. The entire dynamic changes. The encounter is no longer just a stressful event to be endured. It is a valuable lesson in your own personal growth. You are using the energy of the attack to become more self-aware, and ultimately, more free. You are turning poison into medicine. This inner work of self-inquiry requires a stable foundation. You cannot perform spiritual jujitsu if you are being swept away by the storm of your own emotions. This is why the next practice is so crucial. They anchor themselves in the present moment. When we are under attack, our mind immediately time travels. It either goes to the past, replaying every other time this person has hurt us, or it rockets into the future, catastrophizing about all the terrible things that might happen next. This is what generates the overwhelming feeling of stress and panic. We are not just dealing with the current words, we are dealing with the weight of the entire history and a terrifying imagined future. The core practice of mindfulness is to return, again and again, to the anchor of the present moment. And the most reliable anchor we have is the breath and the body. The breath is always happening now. The sensations in your body are always happening now. When you are in a tense conversation and you feel your internal state begin to escalate, bring a small portion of your attention to your physical sensations. You don't have to stop listening to them. Just simultaneously feel your feet on the floor. Feel the sensation of the air entering and leaving your nostrils. Feel the weight of your hands on your lap. This act of anchoring does two remarkable things. First, it short-circuits the reactive storytelling part of your brain, the amygdala and the default mode network, and activates the more calm, observant part, the prefrontal cortex. It creates a tiny gap between the stimulus, their words, and your response. In that gap lies your freedom. Second, it brings you back to the reality of what is actually happening, which is almost always less catastrophic than the story your mind is telling you. The story is, my life is ruined. This person is destroying me. The reality is, I am a person standing in a room. I can feel my feet on the floor. I can hear sounds. I feel a sensation of heat in my chest. By grounding yourself in physical reality, you can see the situation with more clarity and less emotional charge. There's a story of the Buddha who was being verbally abused by a man. The Buddha listened silently and patiently until the man ran out of insults. Then he asked calmly, "My friend, if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "To the one who offered it." The Buddha smiled. "Exactly. I do not accept your gift of insults. To be able to refuse such a gift, you must be grounded in the present. If you are lost in the past or future, you will have already accepted it and unwrapped it before you even realize it. Anchoring yourself in the now is how you maintain the presence of mind to refuse the gifts you do not wish to receive. From this place of grounded presence, you are now in a position to respond, not react. Your response is the next crucial practice. This is where we learn that they choose their words with surgical precision. In the chaos of a conflict, our words often become weapons. We use sarcasm, blame, exaggeration, and insults. We speak impulsively from a place of hurt and anger, adding more fuel to the fire. This approach, known as wrong speech in Buddhism, only creates more suffering for everyone involved, including ourselves. The practice of right speech is the art of speaking with intention, clarity, and compassion. It is about using words not to win a battle, but to de-escalate a conflict and protect your peace. This often involves setting firm, clear boundaries, but doing so without aggression. Here's the difference. A reactive response. You're always criticizing me. You're just trying to make me feel bad. Why are you so negative? This is blame and attack. A mindful response. Right speech. When you speak to me in that tone, I feel hurt, and I am not able to continue this conversation right now. I am willing to talk about this later when we can both speak more calmly. Notice the difference. The mindful response uses I statements, expressing your own experience without blaming the other person. It states the reality of the situation, I feel hurt, and sets a clear, compassionate boundary. I'm not able to continue this conversation right now. It also offers a path forward. I am willing to talk about this later. This requires immense practice. It means pausing before you speak. It means choosing the path of peace over the path of being right. There's a story of a fierce samurai who stormed into a monastery and demanded of the Zen master, "Tell me the nature of heaven and hell." The master looked at him with contempt and said, "Why should I teach the likes of you? You are a brutish, arrogant fool." The samurai, enraged, drew his sword to strike the master down. As he raised it, the master said calmly, "That is hell." The samurai, stunned by this profound teaching, immediately lowered his sword and bowed in gratitude. The master smiled and said, "And that is heaven." Our words can create hell or heaven in an instant. A Buddhist practitioner understands this deeply. They choose their words carefully, not to please the other person, but to preserve the integrity of their own inner peace and to avoid causing further harm. These in-the-moment skills are built upon a foundation of consistent, daily practice. You cannot expect to be a master of jiu-jitsu if you only practice when you are being attacked. This is why the next practice is so vital. They water the seeds of compassion daily. Our minds are like gardens. If we do nothing, weeds of anger, resentment, and fear will grow automatically. To have a garden of peace and compassion, we must actively cultivate it every single day. The primary method for this in Buddhism is the practice of metta, or loving kindness meditation. As we've discussed before, this practice involves sitting quietly and extending wishes of well-being, first to ourselves, then to loved ones, neutral people, and finally, to difficult people. The key here is consistency. Spending just 5 minutes every morning directing thoughts of kindness and compassion literally changes the physical structure of your brain. It strengthens the neural networks associated with empathy and emotional regulation and weakens the reactive, fear-based circuits. When you consistently practice wishing well for a difficult person in the calm of your morning meditation, it changes your baseline response to them. When you encounter them later, your mind is less likely to default to its old patterns of anger and defense. You have already been training it to see them through the lens of compassion. This proactive practice is like building up an emotional immune system. You don't wait until you get sick to start taking care of your health. Similarly, you don't wait until you're in a conflict to start cultivating peace. By watering the seeds of compassion daily, you ensure that when the storm of a difficult interaction arrives, you have a deep and resilient root system of inner peace to hold you steady. Finally, all these practices are held within a vast, liberating perspective. It's the ultimate mindset that prevents any single encounter from becoming an all-consuming catastrophe. This is the understanding that they know that this too shall pass. This is the wisdom of impermanence, or anicca, combined with the quality of equanimity, or upekkha. Equanimity is a balanced, spacious, and unshakable mind, a mind that is not thrown off balance by the 8 worldly winds: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute. A difficult person is a storm of these worldly winds, usually blame and disrepute. Without the practice of equanimity, our happiness is a fragile thing, completely dependent on the approval and behavior of others. We are tossed back and forth by their moods. By deeply understanding impermanence, you recognize that this unpleasant interaction is a temporary event. It is a cloud passing through the vast sky of your life. It is not the whole sky. In 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, the emotional charge of this moment will be gone. This perspective prevents you from magnifying the importance of the encounter. Equanimity is the fruit of this understanding. It is a deep inner balance that comes from non-attachment. You remain centered, not because you are suppressing your feelings, but because your well-being is no longer contingent on external events. You can receive praise without becoming arrogant, and you can receive blame without being crushed. This is the ultimate freedom. It is the peace that surpasses all understanding. It's not that difficult people disappear. It's that they lose their power over you. Their chaos can no longer penetrate the fortress of your well-tended inner peace. So, to remain calm when everyone else loses control, the path is clear. See the suffering behind the behavior. Drop the rope in the mental tug-of-war. Use their energy as a tool for self-inquiry. Anchor yourself in the present moment. Respond with precision and compassion. Water the seeds of kindness daily. And hold it all within the vast, peaceful perspective of impermanence and equanimity. This is not a quick fix. It is a lifelong practice. There will be times you get hooked. There will be times you lose your cool. The practice is to notice, to forgive yourself with compassion, and to begin again. Each encounter, no matter how difficult, becomes another opportunity to strengthen your resolve and deepen your peace. You're not just learning to deal with difficult people. You are learning to master your own mind. And that is the most profound journey one can ever take. If this video has offered you a new perspective, please like, subscribe for more explorations into wisdom for modern life, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 7 practices do you feel could make the biggest difference in your life right now? Thank you for your time and your attention. May you be peaceful, and may you be free.